She made her greasy pasta salad and then vanished. At work, a colleague whispered, "Your wife's cheating with that gym freak." I saw the texts, explicit messages, photos, and my blood boiled. Instead of breaking down, we set a trap. Hidden camera, a massive Zoom ambush, hundreds watching live. She got exposed, speechless, humiliated, her reputation shredded. This wasn't just cheating, it was a public takedown, revenge at its finest. Brace yourself, things are about to get wild. It was a Thursday. I remember, because that's the day Sharon always made her famous pasta salad, the one with so much mayo it could grease an engine. I came home from work expecting leftovers in the fridge and her watching that trashy dating show she swore she only watched ironically. Instead, I got silence. The kind of silence that ain't just quiet, it's heavy. But that wasn't even the moment my life fell apart. That came the next morning, in the office, when Jessica, a colleague I'd barely said more than good morning to over 3 years, walked up to my desk and whispered, "Can we talk?" Now, Jessica was not the kind of person who just talks. She was precise, efficient, the type to use semicolons in texts and judge you for saying less when you meant fewer. So when she asked to talk, I knew it wasn't about copier settings or Monday's meeting. We stepped outside, and she looked at me like someone who just watched a puppy get kicked. "I'm sorry," she said, and I hadn't even heard the punch yet. "Jessica, what's going on?" She hesitated. "I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't want to get involved. But I can't watch you walk around like everything's fine while Sharon's making a fool out of you. You ever feel your whole body freeze, like your soul hits the emergency brake?" I blanked. "What do you mean?" "She's cheating on you," she said, straight up, "with Darren." Now, Darren, for context, is the kind of guy who uses gym selfies as profile pics and says things like "grind set," unironically. I used to laugh at him. Turns out, he was laughing right back, from my damn bedroom. Jessica told me everything, how she overheard Sharon bragging in the break room. Yes, my wife works at the same company because apparently I like playing life on hard mode. Sharon was joking with another woman about how Darren gives her the adventure I never could. Adventure, right, because nothing screams romance like a guy whose idea of deep conversation is quoting Joe Rogan. At first, I didn't believe it. You don't want to. Your brain rebels. "Nah, that's not my Sharon," you tell yourself. But Jessica, she had receipts. She pulled out her phone. Photos. Not those kind of photos, thank God, but texts. Screenshots from Sharon's phone she'd caught while borrowing it to check a calendar invite. One stood out like a knife in the gut. "Darren, last night was wild, still tasting you. Kiss." "Sharon, stop. You'll get me in trouble if he sees." He. That's me, folks. I'm he. I wanted to scream, but all I did was laugh. Just a quiet, tired laugh. Jessica didn't flinch. "I don't want you to suffer," she said, "but I also don't want you to just roll over and let this happen. I have an idea." Now, you need to understand, Jessica is not the type to suggest you egg someone's car or post scandalous pics online. She thinks 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 just might make a revenge plot. "I've got a plan," she said. "It'll hurt her, not you, and you'll come out of this cleaner than her new gym rat's protein shake routine." I raised an eyebrow. "Why help me?" She shrugged. "Because you're one of the good ones, and because I hate seeing trash win." And that's where it all began. Jessica's plan was brilliant. Legal, morally gray, absolutely delicious. So, after she dropped the bomb on me, my wife doing the horizontal hokey-pokey with Darren the discount alpha, I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, nursing a glass of whiskey like I was in some noir film, trying to make sense of how my life turned into an episode of Maury without the DNA test. The next morning, Jessica called. "Come in early," she said, "before the others." Now, when a woman who wears blazers even on casual Friday tells you to meet her early, you don't ask questions. We met in the office kitchen. She handed me coffee. Strong, no sugar. The kind of coffee you give a man who's about to commit righteous chaos. "I couldn't sleep," she admitted. "Not because of what she did to you, though that made my blood boil, but because it reminded me of everything I've lost." I frowned. "You?" Jessica smiled. Not the confident boardroom smile she usually wore, but a sad one, wistful, like she was remembering a sunset she'd never see again. "I loved him," she said. "My husband, Mark. For years. Hell, I still do, in some twisted way. We were college sweethearts. First kiss at a campus bookstore between the political science and self-help shelves. I was smitten. He was charming, ambitious, and slowly became a stranger. What happened? Little betrayals. Not like what Sharon did, not sex, but the kind that eats you slowly. Lies about where he was, friends I never met, secrets stacked on secrets. He never raised his voice, never hit me, but he faded, slipped away while still sleeping in my bed. And I stayed. Too long. By the time I left, there wasn't anything left of the man I loved. But the pain," she exhaled, "that sticks." She turned to me, her eyes sharp now. "And that's why I'm going to help you ruin her. Not because I'm bitter, but because you still have a chance to walk away clean. And she's about to choke on the fire she lit." I nodded. "All right, what's the plan?" Jessica leaned in. "We're going to set up a Zoom call." That was not what I expected. A Zoom call? "Oh, not just any Zoom call," she said, eyes sparkling now like a Bond villain who also happens to color-code her email folders. "We're going to make her the host. We'll send it from her email. Title it something sweet, something irresistible, like, 'Big news, I couldn't wait to tell you all.'" I blinked. "Okay, and?" "And we're going to time it to the exact moment she's getting busy with Darren," she continued. "We'll install a hidden camera. Nothing illegal, just a live stream. No recordings. Just a good old-fashioned, 'whoops, my camera's on' moment." My jaw dropped a little. "You want to Zoom bomb their booty call?" Jessica grinned. "Oh, we're going to make sure her besties, co-workers, family, yoga instructor, and her church prayer group. We'll send it to the department-wide email, maybe even her old college sorority. Everyone she's ever tried to impress." "Holy hell," I whispered. "And Darren?" Jessica chuckled. "He'll be too busy showing off to notice a blinking webcam. That man's ego could power a small country. He'll think the applause is for his technique." I leaned back, stunned. "That's diabolical." "It's justice," she said. "You walk away looking like the wronged, dignified husband. And she walks into the social bonfire she started wearing gasoline. But how do we get them in the same room? I can't exactly book a hotel and say, 'Here, go cheat on me.'" Jessica reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. "Leave that to me. I've got a fake Tinder profile, a burner number, and a talent for manipulation that would make Machiavelli blush." I blinked. "You've done this before?" She winked. "Let's just say I'm creative under pressure." And just like that, we were partners. Me, the betrayed husband with a spine stiffening by the hour. Her, the brilliant, battle-hardened woman with unfinished emotional business and a revenge streak as elegant as it was explosive. The stage was set. The plan was in motion. And Sharon, she was about to experience the most public climax in human history, whether she wanted to or not. Some people spend their weekends golfing, catching up on sleep, or yelling at football on TV. Me? I spent mine building a digital honey trap with Jessica, a woman who treats revenge like an art form. Step 1, Jessica said, opening her laptop like a general cracking open a war map. We need bait, and the bait, my friend, is you. Me? She smirked. You're going to go on a spontaneous business trip next weekend. Tell Sharon you'll be in Chicago for a conference. Even print a fake itinerary. Make it believable. I'll help. While you're away, we lure Darren in. I raised an eyebrow. You think she'll take the bait that quick? Jessica didn't even flinch. If she thinks you're gone for 72 hours, she'll have his pants around his ankles in 15. I've studied her type. They're all about control, planning. She'll want the house, not a motel. That's her turf. I hated how much that made sense. Step 2, she continued, pulling up a spreadsheet. Yes, she made a spreadsheet. We need the guest list, Zoom invites, her coworkers, family, friends, anyone who's ever received one of her life update emails or humble brags about Darren the human protein shake. I squinted. How are we gonna send it from her email? Jessica tapped her nails on the table. Already working on it. She uses the same password for everything. SherryBear84. Cracked it in 2 guesses. The woman's practically asking for karma. I nodded slowly, processing all of this. You scare me sometimes. That's fair, she said. But admit it, you're kinda impressed. She wasn't wrong. Jessica worked her magic like a seasoned saboteur. By Sunday evening, she'd crafted an email draft so painfully sweet it gave me a cavity just reading it. Subject: Big news! I couldn't wait to tell you all. Hi beautiful people. I've got some amazing news I just couldn't keep to myself, but I want to tell you, not just write it. So I'm hosting a special Zoom this Sunday evening, just for close friends and family. No spoilers, but I promise it's something you'll want to be there for. Smile. Love, Sherry. I read it twice, then laughed like a madman. You're evil. Jessica grinned. I know, and you're welcome. We scheduled the Zoom invite for 6 p.m. on Sunday. Jessica rigged her home setup with a secondary laptop, set to auto-start video when the link went live. The hidden webcam would catch everything in 1080p, perfectly angled toward Sharon's side of the bed. Her side, where we knew she'd be, where the celebration would be going down. Now, if you're wondering how we got a camera in there without raising suspicion, well, that's where I came in. The next day, I staged a minor plumbing issue in the upstairs bathroom. Told Sharon I'd install a leak sensor under the sink. While I was in there with a toolbox, I slid the tiny webcam into the adjacent air vent that had a perfect view into the bedroom. Hidden, silent, and connected to Jessica's laptop via remote link. We tested the connection that night. I stood in the room, waved at the empty bed, and Jessica gave me a thumbs up from her apartment. It was crystal clear. We've got visual, she said, half joking like we were on a spy mission. And in a way, we were. We even had an accomplice now, our IT guy, Paul. A sweet guy, bit of a neckbeard, and lived for drama. I'm in, he whispered when Jessica looped him in on the plan. I've dreamed of this. Just say the word. I'll make sure her Wi-Fi doesn't glitch and the Zoom runs clean. Jessica raised an eyebrow. Why are you so eager to help? Paul shrugged. She called me a creepy little help desk gome in front of the VP last year. Time for the gome to bite back. And just like that, our team was complete. Fake itinerary? Printed and highlighted. Camera? Planted. Zoom invite? Scheduled. Sharon? Blissfully unaware. All that was left? was the weekend, and it was coming fast. Sunday, D-Day, or, as Jessica liked to call it, Deceit Day. The house was empty. Sharon thought I was in Chicago at a fake conference called Midwest Digital Horizons, Future Forward Leadership in Tech, which sounds made up because it was. But the itinerary had a QR code and everything. She even packed me a travel mug and told me to network hard. She had no idea that while I was presenting a breakout session, I was actually in Jessica's apartment, sipping bourbon and watching her expertly prepare for the ultimate Zoom ambush. At 4 p.m., Sharon texted someone. "Sharon, you better not be late. I shaved everything." Cussing. Jessica chuckled. "Ew." I checked my watch. "We good to go?" "Camera's online. Zoom is scheduled. Her mic and video will auto-start as soon as she joins." And that's when the first warning bell rang. Jessica's phone buzzed. Paul, our IT guy, small hiccup. Darren's stuck in traffic, 30 minutes behind, minimum." Jessica looked up. "He's stuck on I-95? Of course he is." "No backup plan?" I asked. "What backup do you bring for catching your wife cheating on you? A decoy lover in a trench coat?" I rubbed my face. "So what now? We stall, pray, maybe throw in a dramatic monologue if things go south." 5:55 p.m. Guests were logging into the Zoom. Jessica's laptop looked like a Hollywood Squares grid of social awkwardness. Sharon's boss, 2 coworkers, her best friend Julie, her yoga instructor, why? And, oh yes, her parents, Linda and Frank. Real, God-fearing, pastel sweater-wearing folk who once gave me a book of devotionals for Christmas and told me, "We're praying you two stay pure." At 6 p.m., Jessica clicked Start Meeting. Camera, live. Microphone, open. Sharon, nowhere to be seen. The chat box lit up. Julie, "Where's Sharon?" Boss lady, "Is this a pregnancy announcement? Hope it's not cancer, LOL. Linda, mom, "We're here, honey. Pink, pink, pink. So excited." I stared at Jessica. Where the hell is she? Jessica was refreshing the video feed like a maniac, eyes narrowed. She's not in the room yet. Come on, come on. 6:04 p.m. Still nothing. On the webcam, the bed sat pristinely made. The room looked like a Pottery Barn ad, completely innocent, deceptively peaceful. Jessica muttered, "If this turns into a home tour, I swear." Then suddenly, at 6:07 p.m., the bedroom door opened. Sharon strutted in, wearing lingerie so pink it could trigger a sugar crash. She was carrying 2 glasses of wine and humming. Right behind her was no one. She looked back. "No, you said right turn, babe," she called down the hall. "Take off your shoes this time. You tracked mud last time." Jessica hissed, "Please, God, let him not be parked on the highway still." And then, bam, Darren stumbled in. Button down, half open, hair messy, face flushed like he jogged through the last 2 miles of traffic. They kissed, sloppily. Sharon giggled like a cheerleader in a teen movie. Then, clothes started flying. Zoom was still live. Chat was blowing up. Julie, "Oh my God." Boss lady, "WTF is this?" Linda, mom, "Sharon Ann McMillan." Frank, "Is that Darren?" Jessica looked stunned. They're watching. They're still watching. I couldn't speak. My jaw was somewhere near the carpet. Sharon, mid-pant removal, turned just slightly toward the laptop camera on her dresser, our camera, the very one feeding her parents and a handful of horrified colleagues a free viewing of her latest performance in the Naked and Afraid Adultery edition. That's when she froze. right as Darren started pulling off her thigh highs with his teeth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God." She bolted off the bed, squinting at the blinking green webcam light. You could see the realization dawn on her face. Her eyes widened. Her soul tried to leave her body. Then she screamed. Jessica calmly leaned back in her chair and sipped her wine. "Well," she said, "at least her mom stayed." After the disaster that was the Zoom call, complete with Darren doing his best impression of a flustered adult film extra and Sharon standing there like a raccoon caught stealing from the fridge, it only took 14 minutes for her phone to start blowing up. 12 missed calls, 6 texts, all from Mom Angel. Sharon didn't answer. She couldn't. She just sat there on the edge of the bed, still wearing one thigh high and a face that had aged 5 years in 5 minutes. Darren had made a cowardly dash out of the house, pants in one hand, shoes in the other, muttering something about being set up like this was some bad Netflix heist flick. But Sharon? She had nowhere to run. At 7:34 p.m., her doorbell rang. 3 times. Firm, deliberate, parental. She crept to the door like a teenager who broke curfew and knew the jig was up. When she opened it, Linda and Frank McMillan stood there with expressions that could turn wine back into water. "Hi, Mom, Dad." Linda didn't speak. She walked past Sharon like she was inspecting a crime scene. Frank stared at her. We saw everything. Sharon opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. "It wasn't..." Frank raised a hand. "Don't lie. Not today." They sat her down at the dining table like she was 12 again and had just gotten caught shoplifting lip gloss. Linda finally spoke. Quiet. Calm. The kind of calm that made you wish she'd just yell instead. "You were on camera, Sharon. Everyone saw it. Your coworkers, your friends, us." "I didn't know..." "No," Frank interrupted, voice low. "You knew you were cheating. You didn't know you were being watched. There's a difference." Sharon's eyes filled with tears. "I made a mistake." "Don't," Linda snapped. "Don't you dare reduce this to a mistake. You humiliated your husband. You humiliated us. You've made a circus out of your marriage. A Zoom call, Sharon? What were you thinking?" He was gone. We were having problems. He's been distant, cold. It wasn't like I planned it, it just..." "You planned everything," Linda said, voice sharp as a slap. "You shaved for it. You poured wine. You told him to take off his shoes so he wouldn't make a mess. That's not impulsive. That's orchestrated." Sharon looked away, ashamed. "I didn't think it would go this far." Frank sighed, shaking his head slowly. "Sweetheart, I'm going to be honest with you. We raised you better than this. You stood up in front of a church and made vows, promises. That man has loved you, paid your bills, stood by you, and you repay him with Darren?" Even Sharon had to wince at Darren's name. Linda leaned in. "You need to go to your husband, face him, apologize." Sharon blinked. "You think he'd even talk to me?" "Maybe not, but you'll never be able to live with yourself if you don't try." "And what if he won't forgive me?" Frank crossed his arms. "Then, at least you'll know you were woman enough to admit what you did. Because right now, Sharon, we're ashamed." That word cut her more than anything else ever had. Ashamed. From her parents. Her moral compass. Her spiritual bedrock. She sat there, trembling. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. Linda stood. "Then don't say anything. Just listen." She dropped a folded piece of paper on the table. It was a handwritten prayer. one Sharon's grandmother used to read during hard times. It ended with the words, "Lord, help me find my way back when I have wandered into the dark." Frank nodded at her once, then walked out with Linda behind him. They didn't slam the door. They didn't raise their voices. That would have been easier. No, they left with silence, a silence that screamed louder than any argument ever could. Sharon sat there alone for over an hour, staring at the prayer. The house that once felt like hers now felt like a tomb. She knew what she had to do next. It was Monday morning. The sun was out, birds chirped. Somewhere, an espresso machine hummed. And Sharon? She was a wreck in yoga pants and regret. She hadn't slept, not really. She just stared at the ceiling all night, her parents' words echoing in her skull like a bad pop song on repeat. You need to go to your husband, face him, apologize. So she did what every guilt-riddled cheater does after a PR disaster. She started planning her redemption arc. She Googled how to apologize to your husband after cheating like she was baking a soufflé. Read a few listicles, cried into her robe, brushed her hair, rehearsed lines in the mirror. Then she went to the house. Our house. She stood on the porch with a gift bag in one hand and a printed letter in the other, letterhead and everything. Probably typed it between sobs. All, "I've changed," and "Please remember the good times," with a little sprinkle of "Darren meant nothing." She rang the bell. No answer. She peeked through the blinds. House looked undisturbed. Mail stacked by the door. Not a sign of me. Cue panic. She called. No answer. She texted. Sharon, I'm outside. I want to talk. Sharon, please, I know I can't undo what I did, but I love you. I always have. Sharon, I made a terrible mistake. Still nothing. She sat on the porch for 15 minutes, scrolling through old photos of us like that somehow reversed time. Then, her phone buzzed. A message from me. Me. You really want to talk? Me. Go to 228 Crestwood. Ring the buzzer. She stared at the screen, confused. 228 Crestwood? That wasn't our house. Not her parents' place. Not even a hotel. It was Jessica's apartment. She knew the name. Jessica. The woman from the office who was always cool, always sharp, the one who somehow made blazers look like battle armor. Sharon always said Jessica was icy. Said she gave her judgy eyes. Well, today, she was about to meet the Ice Queen on home turf. 20 minutes later, Sharon stood outside a brick building that smelled like espresso and unpaid rent. She buzzed. Yeah? Came the voice. Crisp. Measured. It's Sharon. Silence. Then, a buzz. The door clicked. She climbed the stairs like she was walking the Green Mile. Knocked 3 times on apartment 4B. Jessica opened the door. Hair tied back, button-up shirt, calm as a surgeon before an incision. Sharon? Jessica, Sharon said, forcing a weak smile. Is he here? Jessica stepped aside. And there I was, sitting on Jessica's couch, calm, composed, not yelling, not crying, just sipping tea. Sharon froze. You could see her mind trying to connect the dots. Jessica handed her a tissue box. "You'll probably need this," she said. Then to me, "I'll let you two talk." But she didn't leave the room. She didn't have to. Because this time, I had control. Sharon opened her mouth to speak, and I raised a hand. Not rude, just firm. "I gave you everything," I said. "Loyalty, years, trust. You didn't just cheat, you planned it. You built a routine around it. Rules, wine, thigh highs, for God's sake." She flushed. "I know," she whispered. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness." "You don't," I said. "But you do need to hear something." Jessica stepped forward, handed Sharon a folded note, one I had written the night before. She opened it. "Read it." Her face crumpled by the third line. "I won't spoil the note here, but I'll tell you this. It didn't hold back. It was every bit the truth I hadn't said aloud, about how she broke me, about how she made me doubt myself, about how, in the ashes of our marriage, I finally found clarity. And standing next to me was the woman who helped me find it. The silence in Jessica's apartment was heavy enough to cut with a butter knife. Sharon held the note I gave her like it was a death certificate. Her eyes scanned the last line again. She sniffled. Then she looked up, hope flickering in her face like a candle in the wind. "You're serious?" she asked. "You're not even going to try?" I leaned back on a couch, arms crossed, voice steady. "No, I'm not." She blinked, stunned. But we've been married for 10 years. We built a life." I nodded. "Yeah, I built a life. You wrecked it." Jessica stood quietly behind me, arms folded, not gloating, not smirking, just there, steady. "You think this is love?" Sharon snapped suddenly, eyes darting to Jessica. I turned slowly toward her, and that's when I laid it out. "I've known Jessica for 3 years, and in those 3 years, she's shown me more honesty, more loyalty, and more heart than you have in the last 5. You think I don't know her? I know she reads books that aren't just trending. I know she drinks her coffee black and her wine dry. I know she volunteers at the shelter every Saturday and sends her mom flowers on Wednesdays just because." Jessica looked away, a little embarrassed. I kept going. "She challenges me. She's sharp and thoughtful, and when she gives you her word, she keeps it. She didn't sneak around behind my back. She didn't lie. She didn't crawl into bed with some protein-pumped caveman while I was out working my ass off." Sharon's face contorted. "This is her fault. She planned this. She wanted you." Jessica raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She didn't need to. I shook my head. "No, Sharon, this isn't her fault. You sent the texts. You opened the wine. You played host in our bed. Jessica didn't ruin our marriage. She just watched you do it in high definition." Sharon's face contorted. "This is her fault. She planned this." Jessica raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She didn't need to. I shook my head. "No, Sharon, this isn't her fault. You sent the texts. You opened the wine. You played host in our bed. Jessica didn't ruin our marriage. She just watched you do it in high definition." Sharon's face contorted. "This is her fault. She planned this." Jessica raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She didn't need to. I shook my head. "No, Sharon, this isn't her fault. You sent the texts. You opened the wine. You played host in our bed. Jessica didn't ruin our marriage. She just watched you do it in high definition." Sharon stepped back like she'd been slapped. "You're actually in love with her?" I didn't blink. "Yeah, I am." She stared at me. After all we've been through, you're just throwing me away for some office girl who can type fast and play Miss Morality? Jessica finally stepped forward, voice cool but firm. I didn't take your husband, Sharon. You gave him away, piece by piece, lie by lie. I just picked up what was left and helped him remember who he is. Sharon's hands trembled. I made a mistake. No, I interrupted. You made a choice, over and over again. Her eyes watered. So that's it? You're not even going to try to forgive me? I stood. No, I'm not. I forgive myself for trusting you. That's as far as it goes. I walked to the door and opened it for her. I wish you the best, Sharon. I really do. I hope you figure yourself out, but we're done. She didn't move at first. Then, slowly, shakily, she stepped past me, brushing shoulders with Jessica on her way out. Right before she crossed the threshold, she turned around. You'll regret this, she said. You think she's different, but one day you'll wake up and she'll be just like me. Jessica looked her square in the eyes. I'll take that as a challenge. Sharon left without another word. The door clicked shut behind her. And, just like that, the past was gone. Jessica looked over at me. You okay? I took a deep breath. More than okay. The door clicked shut. Sharon was gone. No more begging, no more accusations, no more we can fix this fairy tales, just silence. Heavy, awkward silence, but the good kind. The kind that comes after doing something hard but necessary. I turned to Jessica. She was leaning against the wall, arms crossed. Same calm face, but her eyes, they gave her away. There was tension there, anticipation, like she was bracing for the next hit. So I asked what had been sitting in my chest since the moment this madness started. Would you have done all this if you didn't have feelings for me? She blinked, looked away for a second, then back at me. No. There it was. Simple, honest. No flowery words or dramatic gestures. Just the truth, plain as day. Then why not tell me? I asked. She smiled faintly. Because you were married, and because you deserved the chance to see her for who she really was, without me clouding the picture. I exhaled, sat down. Well, consider the picture clear. She sat next to me, close but not assuming, like she was giving me room to breathe. I meant what I said, I told her, about loving you. It's not just gratitude, it's not just timing. You've been my anchor through this storm. Jessica didn't say anything. She just reached out and held my hand. No need for speeches, no dramatic music, just two people sitting in the wreckage, choosing each other. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. There was no scene, no courtroom brawl, no screaming match in front of a judge. Sharon accepted the papers without a word. Her eyes didn't rise to meet mine. She signed everything I put in front of her, never asking for anything more than what was fair. No alimony, no fights over assets, just quiet. That was the real punishment. She was remembering. Remembering what she did. Remembering that the humiliation she endured was self-inflicted. She sent me one message after that, just one. Sharon, I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're happy. No drama, no manipulation, just a woman sitting alone with the memory of her own destruction. And me, I was building something new, with someone who'd never stab me in the back to feed her ego. It's funny, looking back. I used to think betrayal was the worst thing that could happen to a man, that it'd leave a hole so wide you'd never fill it again. Turns out, all it did was clear space for something real. Jessica and I got married the next spring. Nothing extravagant, just a simple ceremony under a big oak tree in her parents' backyard, where the vows were honest, the food was homemade, and the DJ played Sinatra because we damn well told him to. I moved in with her a month before the wedding. We bought a little place just outside town. Modest, quiet, with a wraparound porch and enough room for 2 home offices and 1 very opinionated cat named Beans. We painted the baby's room ourselves. Yellow, neutral, warm. 3 months after the wedding, we found out we were having a boy. And let me tell you, watching Jessica, the woman who once orchestrated a Zoom ambush with the precision of a Navy SEAL, crying over a positive pregnancy test, that's the kind of image that sticks in your soul. When our son arrived, we named him Caleb, after my grandfather. Strong name, quiet name. The day we brought him home, Jessica looked down at him and whispered, "You're safe now," like she was speaking to all of us. Now it's a warm Friday night. Couple years have passed. Caleb's asleep inside, curled up with a stuffed fox and a belly full of mac and cheese. Jessica and I are sitting out on the terrace, a breeze rolling in off the hills, the sun dipping low and orange over the backyard. She cracks open 2 beers, hands me one, the same brand I used to drink when everything was falling apart. "Cheers," she says. Cheers. We sit in silence for a minute, comfortable, easy. Then she glances over, smirking. "Remember the Zoom call?" I laugh, almost choke on my beer. How could I forget? Darren in boxers, your inbox blowing up, your mom texting me 5 minutes later to ask if we were dating yet? Jessica grins. Honestly, I thought it was going to go completely off the rails. It did go off the rails, but somehow we landed it. She leans back in her chair, eyes toward the sky. "You know, I never thought I'd get married again," she says. "After Mark, after everything, I figured I'd just grow old, rich in sarcasm and alone with 3 cats." "Yeah, well, now you've got 1 cat and 1 man who snores." She raises her bottle. Worth it. We sit there a while longer, watching the stars peek out, listening to the cicadas buzz in the trees. "You think Sharon ever tells the story?" I ask. Jessica chuckles. "Only in therapy. Or maybe to warn her next boyfriend about women like me." I grin. She'll never know peace again when she hears the Zoom ringtone. Jessica laughs so hard she nearly spills her drink. Then she gets quiet, soft. "I'm glad you asked me that day, if I had feelings." "So am I say, because I don't know where I'd be if you hadn't." She leans her head on my shoulder. Caleb stirs inside. The porch light buzzes on. And just like that, everything that came before fades into a story. One we laugh about over beer. One that reminds us how far we've come. Not because of revenge. Not even because of justice. But because 2 broken people picked each other up and chose to build something better together.